Good day. Thank you for joining me in today's NextUp podcast, where we like to talk tech. I am your host, PC747, and we're going to talk about Mobile World Congress. This past week, we saw a number of devices that were unveiled, in response, many of them to this new trend of phones that we see, the foldable phones, as well as this desire to have more 5G phones in anticipation for 5G to pretty much come online. Right now, there's a lot of excitement for that. That's the next technology, and there are a number of manufacturers looking to throw their hat in the ring for this. So, yeah, man, let's go ahead and get started with talk about some of these devices that decided they want to go ahead and respond because again, last week we had Samsung. They had a very good press conference that sparked a lot of buzz, surrounding their S10 devices, whether it be mainly the S10, S10 Plus, and definitely that Galaxy foldable phone, as they call it, the Galaxy X. So with a lot of devices, I'm sorry, I said Galaxy X. It was not the Galaxy Fold. Wow. So with a lot of buzz and excitement around, particularly the Fold, we kind of wanted to see what other manufacturers would do to respond, and first up, LG. LG. They pretty much have been at the heel of Samsung for the past couple of years now. Been wanting to find a way to get that edge to try to surpass them, to finally be the top company. And it's just like every year, it's like either they're close to it or they're just not. We saw when they put out their Flex phone, we saw just a number of devices. And if you look at a lot of the earlier skins from LG on the Android phones, it almost have that look, almost similar to trying to be that of Samsung. As of the years went by, they done more to try to distinguish themselves from that. As again, people called them out for it. So yeah, they're right there trying to be that company that can finally just surpass them. And it's getting harder and harder because Samsung, they innovate. They change the market. They're the talk right now. They came out looking, to take a swing at the big dog. They wasn't focused on the smaller companies. They weren't worried about LG. They weren't really worried about HTC, who at the time when Samsung was rising up through the ranks as far as smartphones, was the top dog for Android. And Samsung didn't really focus on them. They focused on the big dog, the real big dog. They focused on Apple and the iPhone. They wanted to supplant them and become the new king of smartphones. And you know what? There's a big argument that they are now the king. They are the company to beat. And there are a number of companies out there that are trying to, find a way to, beat Samsung. And like I said, LG is that company. And this year, the phone that they are throwing out there, or one of the phones they're throwing out there, will be the G8 ThinQ. And one of the things they were showing off at their press event at Mobile World Congress was the ability to use your hand, the lines and the veins in your hands. The phone will be able to detect that and utilize that as a way of unlocking the phone, as well as utilizing it to, do come up with touchless commands, such as being able to answer a phone, stop an alarm, stop timers, take a selfie, control media. In fact, I saw a couple of videos. I think one done by MKHB and a couple others out there where they were playing around with it, and you can use the phone to adjust the volume on videos you're watching, to skip, to pause, to play, and it's a unique, thought process of how they want to approach where we want to go with technologies, particularly, what you would do for people who maybe have something in their hands or got there, and we all been there, whether you be cooking or you someone who like to work with your hands, you work on your car, whatever it is, you get that, that need to grab your phone and for whatever reason interact with it. Whether it, if you watch a YouTube video to figure out how to fix your car or make a dish, and you know how it is. You got your hands covered in oil or food or whatever. You just don't want to touch your phone. So their idea was to, instead of having you pick up your phone, utilize gestures and be able to adjust, skip, or play, or interact with your phone. And that's actually a nice concept, out there. But unfortunately, some of the early reviews are showing that it's not quite working as well as, it's being advertised. But, it's still one of those things where these are early reviews, and about time they get the phone out to the public, they could pretty much have that cleaned up, or hopefully they will. And another thing that, kind of thrown out there as their response will be the fact that they're bringing their technology from their smart TVs and bringing it to their smartphones. And that technology is taking sound and, vibrations from the screen and or the glass, as you may, and or send it to your ear or to the air. In other words, basically, your screen becomes a speaker. Your glass screen becomes a speaker. And one benefit to that means that you're not going to have a speaker grill on the front of your phone. So, that's one less area for dust to get in. It allows you to have a smooth, glass front. Makes it more durable, less of an issue to worry about as far as moisture, dirt, or anything getting into the device. And it's a nice idea, but will those be enough to combat what Samsung brought this year? If you remember, with the Samsung S10, every year Samsung constantly bring out something new to their phones, and they're not done. And they continue to find ways to innovate, continue to find ways to excite the crowd with their phones. And when you look at, again, what Samsung did this year with their tech, their devices, their lineup of devices and their specs, let's think for a second. Remember, the jargon memory with the S10, you got the ability to reverse wireless charge your phone or your Galaxy Beats. Oh, I'm sorry, your Galaxy Beats. Your Galaxy earbuds. The in-glass or ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, which, have been proven to be an awesome step up from where we were last year with in-glass fingerprint sensors. So when you look at some of the features that Samsung is bringing to the table, it is almost hard to look at what LG is bringing and say, man, and really see that it's a real competitor. Especially when you get a chance to look at the devices, look at cosmetically, you can see where the S10 is a big improvement, or even a slight improvement, of the phones of the past. Whether it be adding additional camera, just the overall look. You can see a difference. You can see where your money is going. Though again, I'm not so much excited about these phones that are going above the $1,000 price point. You can again at least see that Samsung is continuing to innovate and change the mindset of what we think about smartphones. And when you look at LG and particularly the G8 ThinQ, it's like, this is the best you have. I mean, it's going to have audience. You're going to have that group that wants LG, but just looking at the specs of it, you got their screen, a 6.1-inch screen, one front face, a front-facing camera, 16 megapixel, 6 gigabytes of RAM with Snapdragon 855, 3500 milliamp hour battery. They're going with, I believe, 2 cameras. Correction, they have 3 cameras on the back, just like the Samsung devices. So it's going to be interesting to see, which way people go as far as what they're buying. Considering the excitement and buzz had mainly been on Samsung and not so much with LG, I don't really see this being a victory for them. Not with the G8, but you never know. There may be someone out there who gravitate to that device. But they weren't the only one out there who threw their hat in the ring. We saw Sony throw out their newer Xperia product, where they're looking to go with the idea of having a larger aspect ratio, a 21 by 9 display, as far as aspect ratio, going for more of a longer phone, trying to get more, more of that wider view for those that watching videos in landscape mode. Again, I like to definitely see, more of that to see how far that goes. And then there's one in particular phone that I want to talk about and throw out there that, I saw someone talk about throughout the Mobile World Congress, and that was the FX Tech Pro 1. And what actually got me excited about that phone, because when I saw it, it reminded me a lot of the Motorola Droid. Those of you who are fans of the phone with the QWERTY style keyboard, a physical keyboard to slide out, this is pretty much what that phone kind of try to do. It tries to bring that back, and it does that, because pretty much this phone is like a modern day smartphone with the more of a bezel display, and then it's a slide out keyboard. And looking at it, I love the look. This is something that when I first saw it, like, man, I could see myself buying it. I'm just been a fan of the Droid and wanted something similar. A QWERTY like keyboard that slide out. But just looking at some of the reviews that people played around with it, they saw it as a nice, as they say, just a note, a nod, if you may, to those who are a fan of that type of phone, of the Droid. And at the end of the day, it's really not a phone that is going to be on par with what you expect as far as being smooth, having the specs, having that ability to go toe to toe with the top phones on the market. Early reviews of people who played with it said the keyboard, which has to be the, that's going to be your selling point of your phone. The keyboard, it got to be working, near flawless, and it's not there. It's not even near flawless. People have complained about issues with certain buttons not working the way it should when they type, or not doing what they kind of like. And then you look at the specs, it's not something that's going to be exciting there, But again, I guess the price point being around what they're probably going for, I guess they're saying around $600-700. It may get people excited, but just early specs from people who were playing with it, saying that they're thinking that the specs going to be close around Snapdragon. And actually, I'm actually going to pull this from Slash Gear. This was written by Mr. Chris Davies, and his article here shows this as being a Qualcomm Snapdragon 835, 5.99 inch, pretty much 6 inches display, 1080, 2160 by 1080, 6 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage. You have a slot for micro SD cards. Battery, we're looking at around 3200 milliamp hour. You have, as far as cameras, one front-facing camera, 8 megapixel, and then on a rear you have a 12 megapixel. You have two, 12 megapixel sensor, and your standard video capabilities such as 4K. I said the battery life, quick charge. It will have a headphone jack. Fingerprint reader will be on the power button. And we running Android 9.0 Pie. So, again, looking at just kind of the pictures of it, I could see people want to kind of play with it. $700 though. Actually, that's a price that reading at the end of it. Looking at $700, and should be available by July of this year. Again, a nod to those who love the Droid phone. This may be one of those, devices that I say niche, or niche device. So it'd be interesting to kind of see the early reviews of that when it do get out to the market, to kind of see how well it performs as far as being an everyday phone. But let's continue on talking about some other phones that really worth mentioning. One that got shown at Mobile World Congress was by Energizer. So you remember the old Energizer commercial, the Energizer Bunny, better known for advertising their batteries, long-lasting batteries. So, what can Energizer bring to Mobile World Congress, the place known for smartphones? What can they bring? Well, they could bring a smartphone with long-lasting battery life, and they're looking to do that with 18,000 milliamp hour. So what? Now, let's back up for a second. Your average smartphone now have around 3,000 to, I guess, upper end maybe 4,000 milliamp hour battery. This phone here have 6 times the battery life, meaning at minimum this phone will go a week without a charge. Now, of course, when you talk about a phone with 18,000 milliamp hour battery, you're talking about a phone the size of a brick, pretty much. This is not a phone that it's going to fit in your pocket pretty easy. In fact, I almost want to see Jerry Rig try to bend this phone, trying to see if he can break it. I actually like watching the videos, watch him go and test the durability of phones. I would kind of like to see him try that on that one. But this is a brick, a massive phone. And let's be honest, a phone like this is not meant to be a daily driver. For most people who have a phone like this, I'm thinking this is more like a work phone, maybe, for like a construction site, maybe, or like your emergency phone that you have that, you're going camping or you're going somewhere. This is a phone you charge up. You maybe put like one of these, a SIM card in there that, like an unlocked SIM or something like that. You throw it in the back of the truck or the back of your car in your emergency equipment bag, or again, if it's a work phone, you throw it in a glove box, and pretty much it's that phone that is meant to last forever. And I ain't saying really forever, but it's meant to last a good while. So in the event, you go out camping and God forbid something happen, you get lost, your phone dies or something, you got that backup phone that will last at probably a week, if not more, depending how you're able to, work out how you utilize it. And this is, again, a huge device. Now, look, don't expect this thing to be a beast as far as other specs. Size-wise, you're looking at display, a 6.2-inch LCD. By the way, I'm getting the specs from The Verge. In display, cameras, we got about 3 cameras on the back. The processor, we're looking at a MediaTek processor, 128 gigabytes of RAM. It will run Android 9 Pie, but again, we're not looking at this phone for specs. This is more one of those things that, like I said, this can be your emergency phone. This is a phone that, again, you take it with you. If you're going hiking, camping, you're going on a trip. This is the phone that's meant to last, for a good while and will survive you that whole trip. So, as far as Energizer, the way they can really pitch this, especially if they make this thing or include some type of case where it's waterproof, it's shockproof. This can pretty much be, geared as the survivor's phone. The phone that you take with you whenever you're going out on a trip. So that was something when I saw the video on that, I thought that was actually a pretty cool phone that I can see having a place in the industry, and really I can see one of those phones that I can see people wanting to buy. It's one of those things that I'll say can be in the area for we got your emergency flashlight. some, the emergency, your drinking water for backup, in the event you have a power outage, somewhere in Academy, over there in that area where you got your freeze dried fruit, your fruit, freeze dried, food, or your meals that are ready to eat, ready to go, right there. Like I said, in the event that you lose everything, you lose all your power, you lose everything, you are ready to go. You're able to pretty much survive the ordeal until you're able to get power restored. And this is where that phone can come in if it's right there. And in fact, that's where this phone deserves to be, right there in that section for those who are looking for something like that. But yeah, those are the three devices that stood out to me. And I'm going to go ahead and get into a part of the, like I said, I would say the main part of today's podcast, and that's talking about the response to the Samsung Galaxy Fold, because there are a number of companies who were waiting to kind of respond to them and wanted to say, hey, look, Samsung not the only one out there working on a foldable phone. We're out here working too. We want you to look at what we got, coming out here, and kind of want to see what the market think about it as we continue to see, which way and which, company we're going to gravitate to. So let's go ahead and get started with one, and that's Nubia Alpha. And they took a different approach to it. Their idea, in fact, I don't quite want to call this a foldable phone, more bendable, because their Nubia Alpha band phone is more of an idea for making it like a watch. So instead of this wide display, where you can fold your phone out and turn it into a tablet, no, they took a more of a different approach. They went more of a very long display that is bendable and wraps around the wrist. So pretty much for those of you who've been wearing one of a Galaxy, or I think that a Galaxy Fit or a Fitbit, and you're like, man, if I can have just a little bit more display, this thing will be awesome. Well, this is where this device is kind of coming in at. It's giving you what you're asking for, a more wider display so you can have more information, for you to be able to interact with, and so this means you can have more media there, as far more of a display screen to interact with, and of course more of a probably heavier device because it's more of a display. And honestly, looking at kind of the reviews of this, niche, this is your niche device. We're talking about a phone with a Snapdragon 2100 that's designed to be a wear device. A gigabyte of RAM, a 500 milliamp hour battery. This is more. I know I said phone, but let's call it what it's mainly meaning to be, a wear device. It's mainly trying to compete with the smart watches out there and the smart bands, and and really see if this is something that's going to stick. And I'd be kind of interested to see if there would be any real response to this device on the market. But hey, they threw it out there and they wanted to see if people are going to take a look at it. And then you got LG with the V50, and they pitched this right next to it, or during their entire press event where they announced the G8. And what they're going with the V50 here, instead of really concentrating on where we went with foldable phones, these guys are doing something that I kind of looked at, with a slant eye here. And the reason for that is, so their approach with the their approach that they want to take is to go with the dual screen device. Now, before I go, let's first talk about the device in general, because the V50 is actually a pretty decent device. If you look at the specs, we're talking about, as far as the screen, a 6.4 inch Super AMOLED, 16 megapixel camera, 6 gigabytes of RAM, a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, running Android Pie. So this device is going to be able to compete, pretty well as far as specs, with the market. But their approach, or their whole deal for fame is there's a case that you can buy, and you can attach it to the phone, and it pretty much turns it into a dual screen phone. Now, my only issue with that is the fact that we already saw this. We saw companies like ZTE do this about a year or two ago. ZTE Axon M, which I think what about a year ago myself I saw it at the AT&T store, and no one cared about it. It's like going with a dual screen phone. It's like that's not something that really interested me or really anybody in the market. It's like, why would I want to buy pretty much two phones? And that's pretty much what the approach that LG took. Now, I'll give it to them. In a way, I kind of like that. If you're going to take that approach, make it a case where it's not too heavy phones. That means, when you do utilize this case, when you close it, it just feel like I said, it's like almost like one of those flip cover cases. That's pretty much what it is. But when you open it up, it becomes another screen. So if you're going to take that, that's really a nice approach to that. It's just, I don't know. I feel like this device is maybe a year or two too late. If maybe they would have came out with this a year ago, maybe I can say, all right, this is something that maybe to recommend. I say I may like, but it's like I almost feel like it's outdated. It's like you're copying an idea that it's like no one really cared too much about, and your approach here to this is more of like it's too late, considering that the new trend is foldable phones or bending the display, and your approach more would be a display case. I don't know. I mean, if this is what they consider their hat in the ring as far as the approach to see what the market would consider as far as foldable phones, I'm not really liking it. I don't think it's a really good attempt at it. It's like you guys just said, well, this is our half attempt in, let's see what the market think of it. And I already know what the market gonna think. I don't really think you're gonna see a lot of people jump on board with it. But I want to see how they pitch this to people. I want to see the commercials. I want to see the ads. I want to see how they're gonna go about it. And here's the kicker here. So as much as this is an approach to, maybe challenge the market, as far as these bendable phones, again, Samsung did just set the world on fire and it got everybody excited with their Galaxy Fold here. So you would think their approach here would be something that's worth talking about. They will be excited about, bringing to the market. So excited that this case that is supposed to be maybe the highlight of the Mobile World Congress for them, well, if you in America, don't expect it to come here because it's not designed to be brought to the American market. At least not as far as what they told the people at Mobile World Congress. So for Samsung, LG, I'm sorry, to really get behind this thing and talk about they're not bringing it to the States here, yeah, that's to me is saying, well, all I need to know as far as this device. I'm going to go ahead and pass on that one. Now, one company I do feel, is probably going to get the, if there's any device that get an award or any type of, acclimates for being the trendsetter or the company that gets the excitement here for Mobile World Congress would be Huawei, because they introduced a foldable phone that some would argue is better than Samsung's idea. The Huawei Mate X. And what they did with their device is the way it folds. Well, first you have like a little a bump at the end, and the way it folds, it actually folds into a better, I would say, more of a better design than the Galaxy Fold. It's not as thick. It's actually thinner, more pocketable. And it seems to make use of the space more. If there was any complaint about it that anyone had is when you open it, you can kind of see in the center, it kind of have that little center line or that center ridge that's in the middle of the display, something that, it is noticeable, and, something that Huawei still have time to be able to fix. but people out there are liking it. As far as specs, I'm just getting this off of GSM Arena. Uh, when opened up, we were looking at an 8.0 display, 40 megapixel camera, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and 4,500 milliamp hour battery. You know, so and this brought me to which device I like the most as far as foldable phones. Now we've seen a couple of companies out there that threw their idea out there. Apple threw their device out there. It's kind of similar to what Huawei doing with the Mate X. Very similar there. Again, we saw Samsung what Samsung did with the Galaxy Fold here. Then you got Royal, which I think it's safe to say no one really cares about them. And then you got other companies out there that are taking their attempt on what they think this idea of foldable phones should look like. And not all of them are really taking the approach of, the tablet style when it's open up to something large. Some are even looking at maybe folding phones landscape-wise, so it almost resembles that of a wallet, size or that wallet feel. So there's a bunch of approaches that people are taking to kind of get a feel of what the market will want. And if I had to choose just right now, early, looking at some of the photos that are out there, what I would say my favorite design for the foldable phones would be, it's going to be right now. It may be because Samsung did a better job as far as marketing, and that's really because Samsung, they knew what they were doing. They marketed, they got it hyped up, they got everybody excited about this thing, and because they did such a good job advertising it, we really didn't get ready to see how it's going to play out. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and give Samsung the slight edge, just right now, as far as I like their design the best, and followed by Huawei Mate X. But, that could definitely change once we start to see, especially next month. I believe that's or April, when we will go ahead and start seeing the Samsung Galaxy Fold made available to purchase, and we start getting it out there in the market. We start playing around with it. We get a chance to see, which device really looks better. But for right now, I like what Samsung is doing with their Fold, and it's followed by Huawei. But as far as the approach to these foldable phones, those are the two that I really like the most. As far as making it a smart watch, I'm not really feeling that. I'm a person who don't like wear watches anyway. So I think the longest I wore a watch or anything is a Fitbit, and I wore it for about a month, maybe a month and a half. And then even then after that, it's like, all right, I end up taking it off and giving it away because I'm just a person who don't like wearing watches anyway. But for those who do like wearing watches, maybe they may gravitate to something like that if they want the design. But I can see how that could get uncomfortable real quick. Having like a big display, on your wrist, and and with something like that, it's going to get heavy after a while. As far as it's going to get, especially in the summertime, it's going to get uncomfortable, and I can see people, maybe wearing it for a day or two, maybe a week, just to show it off. But it's like, okay, this is not going to be something that they're going to want to wear constantly because it's just getting away. But then again, they may find a market for that, maybe in a certain industry, maybe the restaurant industry, where they can use that display for taking orders. Instead of carrying around a big tablet or something, maybe utilize something like that. Or maybe, someone who work in the business as far as lifts, ride share, and have that. So they may find a niche market where they can utilize that for their services. But as far as just overall, everybody wanting to jump on board of overall market, I don't really see that being something that's going to really catch on. Not heavily, but it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But as far as where we're going to go with these foldable phones, yeah, I'm liking what both Samsung and Huawei are doing. And yeah, I can't wait to see we get these phones out there, these devices out there, and get these reviewers putting their hands on it, them putting it to the test, them kind of, like I said, destroying it, but really testing to see how durable they are. And we know right now, starting out, these displays are going to be more of a plastic-like display. So, how are they going to handle, because look, we've come a long way finally getting into pretty much all glass displays, getting that feel of glass, and just that durability of it, to be able to put your phone in your pocket with your keys, not really worry about it scratching up the display. And now that we're going back to more of these plastic displays, it's going to change, just how we, again, how that device is going to be able to endure, and how the device look overall. Glass just look better than plastic. Are they able to get that display to be able to mimic that of glass, or to bring that brightness or bring that vividness of a glass display? Are people who are going to use that device going to, and when they interact the screen, going to get that feel that makes them say, okay, this is something that's worth holding? They're going to be like, you know what? I got so used to having a glass display. I love the way it feels. I'm not ready to go back to plastic. There's gonna be a lot of questions that these companies are gonna have to answer. Now, one thing I did not talk about earlier, the Huawei Mate X, when the do come out, it's supposed to be 5G ready or 5G device. So, at least it's future proof. But, like I talked about on my last week, we're still kind of not ready for 5G, at least not here in the States yet. I know we got a couple of markets that are popping up with 5G towers are coming online, but yeah, we still are at least a year away before we start seeing the true fruits of 5G. So this rush to get a 5G phone is not something that I see needs to happen, but I can understand why these companies are putting it out there. It's a way to market it. It's a way to say, hey, we're first to it, to throw that out there as far as advertising, to get people excited to buy a phone that is a, quote, 5G phone, even though they know, we don't have the technology ready for it. But back to the main topic at hand, this whole bendable phones, foldable phones, where are we going to go with it? And for me, this is the market I'm really interested in. I'm excited about, because I actually want one of these devices, because, yeah, I'm one who love to consume media on my devices, particularly my phone. I love to have a larger phone, and I want to see this continue to expand. I want to see more companies continue to expand on it, to grow on it. And I know we're about a year or two away from this device really taking off to become where we hope it will go. And I'm wanting more companies to throw their hats in the ring, because I want to see more design language on it. Because, Samsung, even though they're the ones who innovated, they're the ones who brought the excitement, I feel like they're the company who really got the conversation started the way we want to. Even though Royal got out there with their little device, but let's be honest, that one, everyone who actually saw that, like, all right, you could put that aside, but these other companies that are really putting out these devices and really doing something with it, it's a great conversation starter, especially for those who love tech and want to see tech go, or see this technology continue to grow and become usable for what we want to use it for. And let's keep it simple: consuming media, watching videos, watching movies, to be able to carry around a tablet, making a tablet more pocketable, because that's pretty much what it's doing. It's making my tablet more pocketable. It's responding to a need that the market did cry for, and that the market is paying attention to. So to see these companies compete and throw their ideas in the ring, to give us more of a look at different approaches to it, will help us as a whole see this market grow the way we want it to grow. Not so much the way LG is doing it right now. I remember reading real quick about a week ago, right after Samsung put out their Samsung Galaxy Fold, a couple of writers or blogs out there throw out, well, LG got a response. And I'm like, okay, I can't wait to see LG's response. And for them to put out this dual phone case that's not available in America, I'm like, all right, if that's your response, then that's a poor response right there. So hopefully LG have a better response than that. But if not, then I don't really consider them a real player. But there are people saying out there that Apple truly is ready to respond. And I definitely want to see what Apple do. I'm pretty sure. Look, they're going to probably just sit back and wait and see which design language get the most buzz, which is one that the market's going to gravitate to, which one they love more, and then they're going to take that and bring that to their fold and kind of reverse engineer that and to make it to be more suitable for the product they're looking to put out there. So yeah, we know Apple, they're paying attention to it. We're going to see what they're going to do, and definitely want to see Google do something with it. But yeah, I'm really interested in this market, and I can't wait to see where we go. And I'm gonna be definitely continue to pay attention to it. Like I said, right now Samsung is top building right now, but Huawei is pretty close. Like I said, after seeing it actually more and more I see it. I can easily see Huawei just jumping Samsung as far as the design lane. Don't get me wrong, I love their design. I love the way their approach to it. It's just right now, without enough people getting their hands on it, without it being a finished product, it's kind of hard to say, all right, this is going to be the top dog until we get a chance to really see more, more videos and see it really put out there as a finished product. But don't get me wrong, it's on my radar. I definitely will be checking it out when they do make it a finished product. But yeah, this is pretty much where we're going with the market. And I wouldn't be surprised, 2-3 years from now, if that design language become one of the standard MO for smartphones. I said that last week. One of the things that changed the market was what Samsung did with the Note, and now we're seeing larger displays because of it. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that these design language, if it do not become the standard for phones, become the standard for tablets from now on, where the main design language for tablet is that. It's making it more pocketable, especially if we can get the displays to perform or the way we want them to perform, and we get the software right, because that's definitely something that still going to need to be worked on. That's going to be a lot of on Google's shoulders to make sure that works well, especially as you have more companies put out their hardware. We got more chipsets out there. You have different developers looking to interact with that software to make sure that when people decide to gravitate and make this device their go-to device, their primary device, they're spending this. Again, right now we know that when these devices come on the market, they're not going to be cheap. We're looking at around $1,200 to $1,500 when they become mainstream at minimum. So when someone spend that type of money, then they want it to perform better than $800-900 or $1,000 smartphone they have over there. So it's going to be very important that the software perform better, and it's going to have to. And if it doesn't, you're going to have a lot of disappointed people. And this is going to fall on Google's shoulders. Google want to make sure that software, at least their pure standard software for it, works well. And I'm actually looking forward to see what Android 10 have in there. And if it have the design to being prepared for these foldable phones, and see if it's actually ready to do that, and to see how well it handles just everyday things, and and see just everything, not just just a device, but how YouTube performs, how books perform, how payouts perform, how browsers perform. There's going to be a games, so there's going to be a lot of apps and programs that are going to be having to perform well on this software, and on this new hardware. And again, I think we're about 2 or 3 years away from seeing it really mature to where it's a device that everyday people should be able to buy. Right now, if you're looking at it, just know if you spend that type of money, especially for like a Galaxy Fold where they're asking $2,000, you're paying to be a beta tester. You're paying to be the person to deal with the issues. And if you're not ready for that, if you're not ready to spend $2,000 on a device that is not going to be perfect or polished, maybe just sit back and just let everybody else take the lumps on that. Let them buy the device, let them deal with all the issues, and sit back and allow it to get better. As it get better, the product going to get cheaper as you get more companies throw their hat in the ring, as the technology continues to grow, as the displays become more available, as the chipsets become better, as the software continue to evolve. We're going to get to the point where you have a finished product that actually is worth the money. So, yeah, I mean, if you're paying attention to this, these bendable phones, these foldable phones, and keep your eyes on it, but maybe just sit back and wait unless you just have money that you want to blow. But that's my thought on Mobile World Congress and particularly these foldable phones and this technology. And I'm definitely again looking forward to it, and we'll continue to check in to see where we go. But this is PC 747 with the theneXup in tech. I'm excited to be able to continue to talk about tech and share my opinion with it. And yeah, I just kind of want to go ahead and get your opinion on what you think about these foldable devices. Which companies are exciting you the most? Which companies are kind of disappointing you right now? Where do you want to see this technology grow? And as far as Mobile World Congress, what are your thoughts on LG? Do you think LG really made a good showing here? Especially with the G8 and the V50. And particularly also, what are you thinking about these bendable watches or the approach there? So I definitely want to read your comments on what your thoughts. So leave your comments below and yeah, share what you are thinking. And I'm definitely looking forward to hear what the community thinks. But this is PC 747. Thank you again for tuning in. Have a good day, good evening. I'm out.